What is up? Episode 25 of the Austin Stand-Up Comedy Podcast. Talked about quite a few comedians. I think roughly 3 per episode. 24 episodes. What's that math? 2, 1, 3, 4. Is that right? What did I say? 24 times 3. 2, 1, 2, 4, 6. Is that 6? Is that 60? Oh man, I'm so bad at math. Talked about a lot of comedians so far. I'm shooting for roughly 35 episodes, I think. I remembered a couple comedians the other day that I still need to talk about, so if I haven't talked about you yet, I'm going to. The goal of this podcast, as I've stated many times before, is to, inject some positivity while the restrictions are loosening up a little bit. Not a lot of places to do sets, so I think once I wrap up my recap of the Austin comedy scene, it might be a good time for me to maybe start venturing out again, getting into the open mics. I know a couple of them have sprung back up. So, something for the future. So every 5th episode, I've talked about the Bomb City guys, right? I talked about all 3 of them. And then I talked about my buddy Bob Woods, who was the first person I ever met doing comedy. So this 5th episode, for the 25th episode, I want to talk about the legend of GP. What's the legend of GP, Ryan? Well, I'm about to tell you, so strap in, Bucky. Bucky, huh? Buddy? Bucko? I think I was going to say Bucko and Buddy, but so the legend of GP is a story about a comedian who I've only seen one time. Such a bizarre interaction that it has been ingrained in my brain, and it's one of my favorite stories so far that has happened in stand-up comedy for me. So let's talk about him. So GP, to protect some anonymity. So this story happened at Fallout Theater. So one day, it was an open mic. We went to Fallout, me and Sean Fernando. And we were waiting in the back, in the green room, for things to get started. And the way it works is you email in. Megan lets you know if there's space. She'll put you on the list. You go in, you sign your name on the board. Well, this kid comes in. I'm going to call him GP. He comes in and he's wearing a sweater, basketball shorts, and he has Skittles for some reason. And he's got headphones in. So he pops his headphone out and goes, "Oh, can I sign up here?" And she was like, "Did you sign up?" Megan was in the back and goes, "Did you sign up online?" He goes, "Oh, no." She's like, "Well, yeah, I guess if there's space, you could put your name on there." He's like, "Oh, is there an age restriction?" And she goes, "No, I mean, how old are you?" And he was like, "I know, right?" And then signed his name and walked out. So I was like, what the hell just happened? So everybody in the green room was bullshitting with each other, like, what's going on? That's odd. So he comes back in later and sits down on the couch. And everybody's kind of just chopping it up. And another comedian comes in and goes around the room to high-five people. So he high-fives, like, people as he goes around the room. Then he gets to GP, who's sitting on the couch. And he looks up, pulls his speaker out, his one of his earphones out of his ear, and goes, "Oh, what's up, dude? You want some Skittles?" He was like, no, I don't. I mean, I just completely oblivious to anything that's happening around him. So we go up, we do our sets, and then he goes up a little later, and I didn't hear him. I didn't watch him, but I did hear him from the lobby. And I don't think it was a particularly active audience, but he did not do well. So he gets off stage, goes into the hallway right next to the performance room, And Sean was there, and he starts talking to Sean and goes, "What the hell, dude?" He's like, "Yeah, man, that crowd's like performing for dead people, dude. That crowd is like performing for dead people." And they can hear him, obviously. I mean, he's like a foot away from the actual room. So Sean comes out like shaking his head, like, what the hell? What the hell's happening? So I'm sitting there with Sean. We're trying to decide whether we're going to go to like another spot or which spot to go to next. And GP just kind of materializes, and he's got a mouthful of Skittles, and he goes, "Hey, so how do you get good?" And we're just kind of talking to him about, practice. I guess you got to go up more often. And as Sean's telling him this, he starts coughing on his Skittles like he's choking, and he's like, and then just keeps continuing the conversation as if nothing happened. So me and Sean are looking at each other, and then he pours some more Skittles in his hand and drops one to the ground. And immediately like just kicks it under the chair that I'm sitting in. I was like, what the hell's happening here? So we're talking to him. He's nodding his head, like listening to us, but also looking around. And then I think by the end of the conversation, he just turned and left. And I have never seen him again. But that is the legend of GP. Maybe it's not as crazy as enjoyable of a story as it is for the Bomb City crew to tell amongst each other. But yeah, so shout out to that dude. Hope he's doing well. The crazy thing about him was he was funny when he wasn't trying to be. There are some people that are like that where like, I'm fascinated by that. They do funny things unintentionally. And in the second they try to manufacture a joke or say something that's trying to be funny, it never works. But everything they do is funny. So if he could engage that and do that on stage, oh man, that guy would be crushing audiences. But again, I mean, just like I was saying, it sounds trite, but practice. I don't remember where I heard it, but it was like, yeah, you go on stage a lot so you have to go on stage a lot so you can eventually be yourself. It's more trite, advice as well, but something to think about. But that's all I got for this episode. Shout out to GP. Hope he's doing well. If you're a stand-up comedian and I haven't talked about you yet, there's a good chance I am, especially if you're in Austin, exclusively if you're in Austin. So keep an eye out. You can also search the YouTube channel to see if I have already talked about you. Other than that, stay safe, stay healthy. Stand-up comedy will be back, and it's coming back soon. Have a great rest of your day.